All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Amy Booker. I get to be your host tonight for this week's 21 Laws of Leadership. I get to cover chapters 5 and chapter 6, which I'm super excited to do. I want to open in prayer, and then we're going to start. And if you dare, I would love to have your video screens on, and I would love tonight to be a discussion, a conversation. I don't want to be the one who does all the talking and all the teaching. If you're anything like me this time of night, I'm tired. I have the attention span of a squirrel. So I would like this to be more of like a conversation. So I've got lots of questions I'm going to ask. So if nobody answers, that's going to go really fast. So, okay, let me pray. Lord, thank you for tonight. Thank you for this team, Father. Thank you that we love to learn together, Lord. Thank you for Justin and Megan's leadership. And I just pray that this time that we have together tonight covering chapters 5 and 6 are a blessing to you and to each other. And I pray that they're fruitful in our lives, Lord, and that we take what we learn and we apply them to our teams and to our own individual lives, Lord. Thank you for this time. I pray that you guide my words and just bless these friends who popped on and who will listen to the recording. In your name I pray. Amen. Okay. Are you live streaming too, Meg? I think she is.
I'm not live streaming. I just am recording it.
Okay.
I figured whoever needs to catch the recording can get it on double speed if they need it.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Okay, so I get to cover chapters 5 and chapter 6, the law of addition and the law of solid ground, two of my favorite chapters, two of my favorite laws, I should say. And you know how we all have things that we value. We all have our own like kind of preset values in our lives. These are two of these laws are two of my highest values for my own personal life and what I look to for leaders in my own life and what I strive to be. Law of adding value to others and the law of being a trusted leader and trusting my leaders. And so I was excited that I get to do these chapters. So chapter 5 is the law of addition. And basically leaders add value by serving others, right? And as a team, that's one of our core values, right? If you know the core values that we have of our team, it's choose joy, add value, make an impact, and offer hope. So it's one of our team's core values, which I think is really cool. And it's one of the things that I think we are known for. And it's one of the things I want us to be known for in Plexus world, but also in just in the lives of the sphere of influences and the relationships that we have with others. I think that's such an important law to live by. Okay, so we throw this phrase around all the time, right? Add value. We want to add value to people, right? It's one of our core values, like I said. So would one of you guys unmute or type in the chat bar, like, what does that mean to you? Like adding value to someone. If you were to say, I want to add value to people, like what does that mean personally to you? What does it even mean to add value? You can type in the search bar. Oh, go ahead, Gretchen.
When I first read through John Maxwell's stuff, that phrase was really confusing to me until, working through his chapter and stuff. And I was like, oh, he means add something valuable, add something of value, something that's going to benefit someone, finding a way to serve them. So I've always kind of translated that in my head when, someone says add value to, add something valuable, something that's going to benefit them, bless them, help them.
Yes, good. And Megan just typed in the search bar to serve somebody. That's good. Anybody else have anything to add to that? That's really good. I think simply put, adding something valuable, yes. Simply put, it means contributing something meaningful to someone's life. That's what Gretchen said, which I think is exactly that, right? We and leaders, we add value by serving others, right? And I think of Jesus, the ultimate leader. And when he came to earth, he said, I came not to be served, but to serve and to give my life a ransom for many. And so those of us who are believers on this team, he is our greatest model that we should follow after. And so if he said he came to serve, then that's what we should be about as well, right? Being servant leaders. So, okay. And so one of the things that John Maxwell said was the bottom line of being a leader of servanthood is not, and especially I think Plexus is such a good picture of this. It's not to see how far we can advance ourselves, right? But it's to see how far we can advance others. And the beauty of that is if we really do what we're supposed to do and we help to advance our people, then hopefully we advance as well. And that's the beauty of that teamwork. I'm going to read the chats out loud just for the recording. Linda said, people will be better after they have met you than before they knew you because of the way you have served them. That is so good. And Justin or Megan said, human nature can cause us to think we don't have things of value to share. Yes, that's so. Satan wants us to think that we don't have anything of value to share, not just human nature. Alicia says, be an encouragement to people where they're at, but also push them to do and be better. So good. I love that. Okay. So good. And so if, in the case of Plexus, if we were to put this to our businesses, right, the way we add value to people, the way we serve them best is we want to help people be the best that they can be on their health journey. And we want to help people advance the best that they can in their business, right? If they want to go further in this business. Some of us are doing this training with Genevieve Spori, Emeralds, Sapphires, and Diamonds. And one of the things that she says, she's like, every single conversation you have with anybody that you add onto your team, she's like, you should have this conversation with every single person that you add. Something along the lines of, use your own verbiage, but in Plexus, we pride ourselves in never having finances have to be the cause that someone can't continue on their health journey. We don't ever want finances to be a reason why you can't go take the long haul with Plexus. And so we would love to help you be able to get your products paid for or even more. So that's how you serve your people. If the number one reason why people quit Plexus is because they can't afford it, that's how you add value to your people. And so you should have that conversation with every single person who joins you. We take pride in not ever having finances be the reason why someone cannot continue with Plexus. I was like, I like that. I like that little line. Okay. So, I want to read just a couple little quotes. So I love at the beginning of the story, they talk about that leader Senegal, right? How he he's the Costco leader and how like he was just the definition of being a servant leader. And so when it came down to it, he's talking about him. He said he was more focused on adding value to people by serving them than on serving himself. And what he said was, it's improper for one person to take credit when it takes so many people to build a successful organization. He lived by the law of addition. And with Plexus, the higher you go in the company, the less and less you can take credit for your rank, the less and less you can take credit for the status that you have. And I think that that's so important because you can get yourself to silver, to gold, even maybe to ruby, you can, but really the higher you go, you really can't, you need a team and you really can't do it on your own, or it surely is miserable doing it on your own. And so the higher we go, it's so important to keep that focus in the forefront of our mind that our success is built on the shoulders of so many people in our team. And we want to make sure that we add value and that we just honor that so much as we grow. Okay, reading comments. Megan said, we take pride in never allowing finances to be the reason people don't continue on their health journey. Would you like me to help you with that? I'm just going to read the comments because you can't see it in the recording. Okay. So the interaction between a leader and a follower, the book says, is relationship, right? That's the interaction between the leader and a follower. And relationships can either be added to or subtracted from in a person's life. And he asked, do you know what role you play in people's lives? Are you an adder or are you a subtractor? I think it's super important to be aware of that in all of our relationships, not just with Plexus, but as parents, as wives, as husbands, as coworkers. Are we adders or are we subtractors? When leaders see that success cannot be achieved without people, it should change our entire mindset, right? It should change our whole mindset on even how we do this business. If we realize we cannot do this without people, and our people don't get paid. We don't pay our people. They're not our employees, right? So they're going to stay with us because they love us, and which is a lot about this next law that I'm going to talk about. But they'll stay with us if we love them and serve them well and honor them. Okay. Okay, I just took some notes here, okay? Okay, I love this quote. I don't know if it was from the book or I also listened to, Who's the Diamond, who's doing YouTube videos. We love her so much. What's her name, Megan? Brittany Howard.
Yeah.
Brittany Howard, yeah. She did for her team, she did a whole training of this entire book and she did a YouTube series. And so she's one of my most favorite diamonds to follow. And so I think this was her quote. I don't remember reading it in the book, but maybe it was in the workbook, but she says, greatness is built with people. Mediocrity is built by yourself. So you can get kind of far by yourself, but greatness is going to be built with people. Mediocrity is built by yourself. Okay. So question, how can you tell whether you are having a positive or a negative impact on the people around you? Is it pretty easy to tell if you're having a positive or a negative impact on your team, on your people in your life, on your family, on your friends. Yes, listen to Brittany Howard's videos. The book, John Maxwell says that 90% of people, the average is 90% of people who add value to others, they do it intentionally. They do it with an intentionality. We have to be intentional about it because we're naturally selfish. It's not our natural inclination to intentionally want to add value to others. It's work, right? Megan, you asked examples. What did you mean by that?
I think it might be helpful if we chat about like to plexify the value adding, like what could that look like for all of us? Like, is that clear to everybody of what that would look like, maybe in our posts or in our customer care or things like that? I don't know if people want to unmute and share some of their ideas, but that might bring a little more clarity to the practical piece of the intentional value adding.
Yes, and she does talk about that a little bit further, how to add intentional value. But how can you as a leader, because if you have one person on your team, you're a leader. So I think that's the first thing to get into our mindset is, it took me a really long time to admit that I was a leader, whether I wanted to be or not. And it took me a really long time to admit that I was a businesswoman. I would even joke about it when Lisa and I would talk about, we get a vision plan for our businesses, and I would kind of snicker a little bit. And she's like, you are Emerald, you are a businesswoman, you own a business. And I'm like, you're right, I totally do. We're totally business, you know what I mean? But my brain, my mindset was just not there, And so I think that's the first piece is if you have one person on your team, you are a leader, because the definition of leadership is influence anyway, right? We know that. And so you are all leaders. And so how will you add value to the team that you have? To your downline specifically, but you can also think to your sidelines, your friends, and to your uplines, Justin and Megan, your sponsor. Let's, you can unmute or you can type in the chat thread. Don't overthink about it either. I mean,
okay, I'll go, Amy. Some things I wrote down was adding value can be about relationship building. So making time for them, visiting them, asking just about themselves. So I think that's really important. Adding value doesn't have to be just about content.
Totally. Yeah. That's so good.
I think speaking life over them and telling them the things that you see in them that they might not see.
So good. And oftentimes, and he talks about it in the book, as a leader, you may be the only person who speaks life into your people, and you may see it long before you'll see their potential. He talks a lot about potential. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but he says in the beginning, you might be the only one, you see the potential, and you're gonna have to speak that into them and call it out of them. That's one of our jobs as a leader.
Yep.
One of the questions he asked too was do you have a servant heart? Do you consider yourself a servant leader? And if you're unsure of some of the questions, he's like, this is a question for self-reflection. Do you have a servant attitude? Are some things ever asked of you where you're like, that's beneath my rank, that's beneath my position, I shouldn't have to do that? Or I have zero desire to do that, even though I know they need that. If those are some things where you might feel resentful or you feel like that's beneath you, then maybe that can be a growth point for all of us. I think we all struggle with those things sometimes. Okay. Things I wrote down, how we as leaders can serve our teams. Three-way chats, events, troubleshooting, inspiring, encouraging them, pep talking, coaching them, adding value in group settings, talking them off the cliff. I don't know if you have people on your team. I have several people on my team that I have to talk them off a cliff on a regular basis. And even just speak truth into them as to what I see. This is what I see in you, and this is not true. What you're saying is not true. Have you started your period? Because don't make any decisions on the first day of your period, because I can tell you're a crap. You know what I mean? I say that to my besties, not to someone I don't really know, but just, speaking truth, but speaking it in love and saying that is not true. What you're saying is not true. This is the truth that I see. So loving them, leading them well. Okay. Okay, believing in them, serving them, believing more in them. We believe more in them than they believe in themselves at first. I think that's pretty common across the board. Megan will still speak that into me now. She sees things in me that I don't see, and calls things out of me that maybe I don't want to have called out of me. And it's my job to receive it and to decide what I'm going to do with it, So, okay. And making yourself more valuable, right? He talks about that in his book. Some ways that we can add value to our people is to make ourselves more valuable. And we do that by things like this. Leaders are readers, leaders are learners. I'm also reading The Slight Edge. And in one of the chapters I'm reading, he said, he talks statistics about people who intentionally read 10 pages a day of a book or listen to 10 pages. Talks about those little teeny tiny habits that add up over time, and that we don't see them. We don't see them for a long time until, when other people see the results, when other people finally see the change in us. It's like when you're trying to lose weight or you're training for a marathon or something. When other people finally see it and like, whoa, have you lost some weight? You're like, actually, I lost like 35 pounds and I've been trying for like 8 months. Do you mean like a lot of people don't see the little tiny habits that you've done until it's way, way, way down the road. But we add value to others by adding value to ourselves. That's one of the reasons why some of us Emeralds are doing this class with Genevieve Scory. It's a sprinting to diamond. It's a little bit scary, and she's a little bit of a hard shooter. And if we don't add 3 people a month, she boots us out of the group, and it's really stressy. But it's like, I want to be challenged. I want to grow, and I want hard truth spoken to me, and I want to receive it, because I think that will make me more valuable to my people. Right? Okay. So, question for reflection, but also I love if you guys shared. After reading this chapter, what are some ways that you moving forward, because if we don't put into practice what we learn, we're going to forget it, right? So putting into practice what we learn and putting it into practice with intentionality, and with, what do you say with Megan? You say implement it quickly. I don't know how you word it, but you say something like that. With urgency. What are some ways moving forward, like when we get off this call tonight, that you are going to intentionally add value to your people moving forward? You could speak it or you could type it in the chat thread, but can you think of little things in your brain? You're like, oof, I'm going to do this. I'm going to add, this is how I'm going to intentionally add value to my people. Megan said, finish the handwritten notes that are half finished. It's good. Can anyone else think of ways that they want to intentionally add value to their people, to their team? Maybe you already do a really good job of it already. Gretchen says, follow up on some coaching call dates and times. Alicia says, do the thing I've encouraged them to do, but lead by example. Good. Linda says, keep taking the time to deepen your relationship with them by reaching out consistently. Megan says, text a few people that I was with over the weekend to let them know how much I appreciate them and positives I saw in their kids. Every mama needs that. Sarah says, respond in a timely manner. Yes, those are so good. All so good. Okay. And also, one of the ways we can add value to our team and to others is to do the things that God values, right? So we know biblical principles. The more power we have, the greater the impact we will have on others, for better or for worse. The higher you get in the ranks of Plexus, the more impact you will have on your team and others around you, for better or for worse. And man, do I want to have a positive impact on the people around me. And she talks a lot about, or Brittany Howard, I don't think he did so much, but Brittany Howard talks about, how we can add value on social media, because our business is social media driven, right? So the same things that apply to our team can apply just to our people who we influence on social media, right? If we always look through the lens of how can I add value to people, that will change the way we post. It will change the content that we do. And one example she gave was like, it could be something simply a little pivot from look at this cute picture of me and my family going out to supper on Friday night to being like, hey, here are 5 kid-friendly restaurants that we found that our family really loves. And so you list the 5 restaurants and why they're kid-friendly, because you have wild children, you know what I mean? Like adding value as opposed to just look at me, aren't we cute? To like, hey, if you want to take your family out, here's some really fun kid-friendly restaurants and this is why, you know? And she talks about the 4 E's: educate, yep, entertain, empower, and entertain. Encourage, entertain, educate, and empower. If your posts are always doing one or more of those things, that's adding value to people. Not just so much, look at me, look at what I've done, look at my kid, look at my life, look at my home, but somehow adding just that little pivot where you are serving your audience and you're adding value and you're giving back. So all of those things can apply to our social media. Don't make your posts about you, make it about them. And believe in your social media audience that they could do what you do, right? That's empowering anybody who's reading your posts. Like, will you repeat those? Educate, entertain, empower, and encourage, the 4 E's. And so, and even thinking like, when I'm making a business post about Plexus, how could I empower my audience or inspire or believe in my audience who might be total strangers that you can do what I can do. If I can do it, you can do it. And this is why, you know, so not just, I earned the Nikes, woohoo. Hey, guess what? How cool is it that just by sharing my referral link with 3 friends, just by sharing about Plexus with 3 friends, I earned these super fun customizable Nikes, which I haven't done yet, by the way, but it's my goal. And guess what? You could too. I'd love to show you how. Let's do this together. Something like that, different than just like, look at me, look at my shoes. You know what I mean? That's that little pivot in our brain. Okay. Okay. Okay, last thing. I'm going to read just a little quote on one of these pages, but the attitude of the leader affects the entire culture of the team, right? How true is that, right? We have so much power to affect the culture of our people. Let me see, we got some more chats going here. I feel like it takes a game plan to add value on the daily, for sure. For sure, yeah. And I think it takes always thinking in your brain, like when I like that this book challenged me to, like when I make my posts, to be like, okay, and it's like we're a big hunting family, so sometimes I do try to make a post like a caveat of like, guess what, like this is how we fill our freezer, this is how we feed our family, you know. So it educates that we're not just like deer slayers, but like we do it to fill our freezers. We've taught our boys that they can process a deer from beginning to end, field to freezer, like or educating people on like, and guess what, you could do it too. And you know, and if there's sassy people biting my tongue and saying, do you eat meat? Because if you eat meat, you should watch a documentary on how the meat that you buy from the store is really cared for, because ours is organic and very humanely treated. But that's a soapbox, and that's not really adding value. Okay, but you know, but pivoting a little bit to be like, every time I make a post about anything, running, the food you eat, instead of just posting about your pretty food, add the recipe. You know, instead of just posting that you just ran a half marathon, you know, encourage someone. Guess what? I was never a runner and I decided to do Couch to 5K one day. Here's a link to a super easy Couch to 5K. Anybody could do this. Like, come with me. We can, if I can do this, you can do this. Does that kind of make sense a little bit? Like some examples. Okay, page 61. He asks, are you making things better for the people who follow you? I love that. Okay. When we help others, we see them as weak. When we try to fix others, we see them as broken. These attitudes make us feel superior. But when we serve others, we see them as valuable. And that's the difference. That's page 61. That's the difference between servant leadership and just a leader who's up here by themselves on the pedestal, not getting in the dirt and the muck of the daily with their people. You know, when we serve them, when we're in the grind with them, that's the difference. When we see them as someone to love and to serve, as opposed to, let me fix you, you're broken, I'm not, but you are, so let me fix you. Know what I mean? It's a whole different mentality there. And I don't want to follow somebody who's perfect, and I don't want to follow someone who thinks they have all of their stuff all together all the time, because I know they don't. And it makes me feel like a loser. Do you know what I mean? So I like that vulnerability piece. I think is so important. Okay, so in the chat thread, think or out loud, but let's do it in the chat thread. I want you to put the name down, the first person who pops into your brain, one person that you're going to add value to this week, just their first name and what you're going to do. A name and what you're going to do to add value this week before the weekend happens. Monday's done, so you've got until Sunday night, one specific person, because I think sometimes just little baby steps will lead to bigger steps, and it doesn't even have to be anything grandiose. One thing I'm going to do, Lisa and I are hosting a little soup supper on Wednesday nights. We've got some people who are kind of wanting to share, and they've been in a funk all summer and all fall. And so we've got the winning the day worksheet, and we're telling people, we're going to feed you supper. Come on over. We're going to feed you soup, and we're going to literally work through the worksheet, top to bottom together, step by step, where we're literally going to sit with you, and we're going to do it right with you and our team who lives away. We're going to Zoom them in. Simple, nothing glamorous or sexy, but we're just gonna, like, if you want to come and you want to work, we want to work with you. We want to literally hold your hand and do it with you. Okay. So good. You're typing in your threads, different things that you're going to do. You're naming a person and one action step, which I think is really good. Okay. So good. Okay. We will go to chapter 6 now. Did I cover everything I wanted to? I just want to read one more little thing that he says. Our intention should always be the same, no matter what we do, to add value. Because when you add value to people, this is page 58, you lift them up, you help them advance, you make them a part of something bigger than themselves, and you assist them in becoming who they were meant to be. Often their leader is the only person able to help them do these things. Great leadership means great service. I think that's so good. Okay, chapter 6, the law of solid ground. Trust being the foundation of leadership. Do you guys believe that's true? Do you believe that trust is the foundation of leadership? Does anybody not believe that's true? I mean, I guess if John Maxwell says it's true, we probably shouldn't argue it. But like, does that resonate with you? Like, yeah, I totally agree with that. He says that trust is the foundation of leadership. It is the most important thing. You cannot, as a leader, repeatedly break trust with people and continue to influence them. It will not happen. Broken trust undermines influence. I think that's so good. Alicia just said, people will not follow if they don't trust you. Megan said, I've seen lack of trust break marriages. Yes, I don't want to follow anyone I don't trust. Yeah. So Megan, this is a shout out to you, sister, all the people in your little tribe right here who trust and love you. So, okay. Here's a question. After your trust has been violated, can it be regained? Like, if someone hurts your trust, can they regain their trust in your life? I see Sarah nodding. You want to unmute and share?
Well, I think we're all guilty of this too. I mean, we're not perfect. So we have been on the receiving end and been the one to lose trust in someone else. So I think we have to have the mindset that we're all imperfect. We all need grace from God, and people can improve and change. So I think that you can regain trust, but I think it takes time. It takes time for that to happen.
Alicia says yes, but you have to show them by actions that you've changed, not just words. Anyone else want to add to that?
I feel like it's making deposits, positive deposits, when there has been, maybe one or multiple withdrawals from the relationship or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Brittany talks about how she's like, trust as a leader, it's like you've got change in your pocket. And so, and like Megan said, anytime you do something to build your people's trust, you get to put a little bit more change in your pocket. And anytime you do something that might hurt their trust, you have to pay out. So depending on how much extra change you have is basically the grace you have for your mistakes. And like you said, Sarah, like people, like there's grace for honest mistakes. There's always grace for honest mistakes because we're not perfect, right? And there's grace for broken trust too. But like that repeated over time, especially if you don't have that extra change in your pocket, there's definitely going to be repercussions, and everybody pays the price, right? You as a leader pay the price, your team pays the price. And that's why he says it's the most important thing. And that's across the board, right? Friendships, marriages, with our kids, with our teams. So I think that that's so important. Your people know when you make a mistake, right? The real question is, will you fess up? And that's what I would say to Lisa. I'm like, if we make our team a promise, that, and we just like, it totally like, I'm like, or I'll tell my people, like, if I promised you, like, I think Roberta, this has happened with us. Like, if I promised if you do something, I'm going to give you $50 and I haven't paid you, message me and say, hey, haven't seen it yet, and I'll be like, shoot, I totally forgot. Like, that's my biggest fear at the end of every month. And I just tell my people straight out, I'm like, if I'm doing incentives, like my biggest fear is that I make a promise to someone and they slip through the cracks, and they think, yep, it's another pyramid scheme, another cult, another scam, so I'm like, if I promised you something, and so sometimes I'll put in the thread, if I promise anybody something, just tell me now and I'll believe you. So take my money, even if I don't remember, because that's important, right? It's important to keep your word. It's so important. Okay. So question for self-reflection. Do you have change in your pocket? Do you have extra change in your pocket? I think that's super important for all of us to think about, right? So if you have extra change, you can afford to make a mistake over time. Your change, is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Since you started being a leader with Plexus, has your change increased? I hope it's increased. I hope mine's increased. Okay, let me read just a couple little, he says, whenever a leader breaks the law of solid ground, he pays a price in his leadership. Okay. John Maxwell is saying, I've become well known, this is page 70, for teaching that everything rises and falls on leadership. I believe that to my core. Everything rises when leaders demonstrate competence and good values. Everything falls when leaders demonstrate incompetence and poor values. Why do I say this? When leaders lack competence, they can't accomplish anything. When leaders lack good values, they can't be trusted. So it's both, right? We have to have the skill set, but we also have to be trustworthy. When people lack good values, they can't be trusted. They lack character. Without both competence and good values, they can't get anyone to follow them. If vision is like the head in an organization and mission is like the heart, then values are like the soul. Treat trust as your most precious asset. Character and good values make trust possible, and trust makes leadership possible. That is the law of solid ground. That's the basic overarching law of solid ground, right? Okay. So in his book, I don't know, okay, page 71 and beyond, he talks about how character communicates 3 things. Let me just see in the chat thread. I want to read out loud if brought me books to read. Oh yes, your money bought you books to read. Okay, a leader builds trust by character communicates 3 ways. We communicate in 3 ways when we have character, right? And so character communicates competence, connection, and integrity. I can't read my own writing. Okay. So which do you think is most important between character, competence, and connection? That's what it is. Character, competence, and connection. Which of those 3 do you think is most important? Gretchen lip synced it. We build trust 3 ways: competence, connection, and character. Yes, across the board, character, right? Character is what makes trust possible, and trust is what makes leadership possible above all things, because you can grow in your competence, right? You can learn your skill sets. You can grow in your character too, but someone's going to follow someone of high character who's growing in competence, right? Far more. And so he's saying character communicates 3 different things, okay? So when you display good character, you communicate consistency. Another word for consistency would be dependability, right? If you are consistent, your team knows that you are dependable. Your people know that they can trust you and depend on you. Brittany Howard was saying, we don't get much done in this business if we only work when we feel like it, or when we feel motivated, or only with the people we feel like working with. And if your people don't know what to expect from you, they will not look to you for leadership. So if your people don't know, if you are not consistent, so it is important that we're consistent, right? If our people don't know what to expect from us, if they don't see consistency in our character or just in our life or how we're leading our team or our people, they're not going to look to us for leadership because we look like we don't know what we're doing, right? So that's super important. Brittany Howard asked this question. So when she stumped some more people, she's like, which do you think is most important? Doing things right or doing the right thing? Which do you think is most important and why? Roberta says doing the right thing. Why? Why do you say that, Roberta?
because that's what you do. I don't have a right answer.
You would do have
It's
the right
just-
answer, but I want to know why. Why do you think that's the right answer?
Because doing the right thing is the right thing to do. That's all. That's just how I've always been taught. It's just, that's me. That's what it is.
Right. And so if you're doing something right, but it's the wrong thing, who cares that you did it right? Right. So doing the right thing is, yeah. So I just thought that was a cute question that she asked her team. Learning, leading by example, adding value, social media, helping your team with goals, doing the right thing is the right thing. And Sarah just said, doing the right thing speaks to your character and your morals. Yes, that's exactly it. That's hits the nail on the head. So yes. So character communicates consistency. Character communicates potential. Page 73, he talks about no man can climb out beyond the limitations of his own character. Weak character is limiting, right? You don't build trust by talking about it. You build it by achieving results, always with integrity and in a manner that shows real personal regard for the people with whom you work. And so a good character, we communicate potential to our team. We speak that potential into our team. We believe in the potential in ourselves, right? That we can continue to grow. We can continue to become good leaders. When you have strong character, you are communicating that you have a lot of potential. Okay. This is also important for our kids, right? To communicate that to our kids, that they have potential to do great and mighty things. I love one of my favorite authors, and I'm having a brain cramp, Mark Batterson. The prayer that he prays over his kids all the time is that they will do dangerous things for the kingdom. He's like, I want my children to grow up to be warriors who just, their character is so strong, and what they do for the kingdom, it's dangerous. And you know what I mean? Like dangerous in the sense of like, it's mighty, and it's not just, it's so much more than just get your good grades and respect your teacher. It's like, I want my kids to be warriors, and there's that potential in you, God in you, he raised you. I want you to be men who stand head and shoulders above what society says that you guys should be. We're not going to talk about buying condoms because you're in high school. We're going to talk about becoming gentlemen who will treat women with respect and who will leave them better than when you found them, and you will be known, your name will be known as these young men who love the Lord and honor women and who are gentlemen and who point people to the Lord. That is what my expectation is of my children because of the Lord in them. Do I think they're perfect? Absolutely not. I'm their mother. But that's the potential that goes against what society thinks, right? Society says, just don't get her pregnant. You know what I mean? And I have friends. I was a waitress for 7 years in this cesspool of wildness, but I loved the people and they loved me. And it was a shock to them that I could even think about possibly having that expectation of my kids, and I just said, why do you think that your kids aren't capable? Like, they're like, well, I never even thought to say it to them because I just expected that they won't. And I said, then you have higher expectations of your kids. You have higher expectations of what their potential could be. And that's the same for anything, right? Your marriages, your teams, your friendships. Like, we have the Lord in us, and him in us by his grace, there's great potential for greatness to do crazy, mighty kingdom work while we're here. And all of life is ministry. All of work is ministry. And so no matter what you do, if we view it, if you're a believer, which I think a lot of people on our team are, with eternal perspective and with kingdom mentality, that this has far greater value and repercussions on the other side of eternity than just tomorrow. Does that make sense? That was a whale rabbit trail there, but anyways, potential. I think it's important that we speak that and believe that into our kids, speak it over our kids. Okay, character also communicates respect. How do leaders earn respect? How do you earn respect? What do you respect about your leader? And the crowd goes wild. What do we all respect about Megan? Speak that over her. Megan appreciates a leader who's always learning. Why do you all follow Megan? What do you respect about her? She leads by example. Gives her time to others. Time is so valuable. Yes. Available to us. You are not a do what I say, don't do what I do type of leader. Also good for parenting, right? Consistent, invest in us, continues to grow. Yes. Yeah. So if those are the things we respect about our leaders, if we do self-reflection, right? We want to do those things to have our teammates be able to say that about us and respect that about us, right? Okay. Most high achievers spend time developing their skills. They seek to be competent. Fewer focus on spending time developing their character. So we want to be leaders who do both, right? We develop our skill set and our character. Sarah says, spends time talking through many challenges I'm having and gives me options to move forward in the trenches with us. Yes. I want a leader who is dirty, right along beside me, in the trenches with me. Yes. Okay. What will you do, or what are you doing to develop your character? And do you give high character people in your life permission to speak into your life? Did you ask people to do the survey for you in chapter 1, where we asked people to rate us? That's kind of scary, right? But one way that we develop our characters is by allowing people of high character who we respect to speak into our lives, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Be in the word, the mirror. Yes, we become what we behold, right? So what are we beholding? Guarding our eye and ear gates, what we listen to, what we watch, what we read. Be accountable to others. Input equals output, right? So just being careful of all of those things. Be in the word, daily in the word. Yes. Yep. Modeling Jesus, who had the highest character of anybody we know. So, okay. Main areas of character that we can develop: integrity, authenticity, discipline. We can develop integrity by getting in the word. That's our compass, right? By telling the truth. Someone talked about that, their kid having an expectation that they're not going to lie. And if they tell the truth, that demonstrates high character, that they lied, but they fessed up. That's such a good model. Doing what we say, even when it hurts. True character is doing what we say we're going to do, or how we act even when nobody's looking, right? How do we develop authenticity? How do we develop authenticity? I'll ask you guys. Being accountable, consistently showing up. Gretchen said for the first one, feeding our mind with quality things that grow me in multiple areas. Growing in authenticity, Jill says, be vulnerable. Actions that match words, yes. Being who you are wherever you are, right? Being who you are on social media, same person at church, same person at sports events, not being a chameleon, right? Just being authentically who God made you to be. Oh, I'm sorry, my phone is on. Just be you. How do you develop discipline? How do we develop disciplines? Oh, you guys are still answering from the first question. Sharing what we are learning and being corrected on, not compromising to fit. That's authenticity. Yes, so good. Ooh, I like that one, Gretchen. Not compromising to fit. Developing a discipline, doing the right thing every day, regardless of how I feel, right? That's that Slight Edge book too. Just mastering the mundane. And just because it doesn't look showy, we still show up and do the things. Here's the integrity test. With integrity, the longer you lead, the better it will become. Without integrity, the longer you lead, the worse it will become. So do we pass the integrity test? And I'm going to read just a couple more little quotes and then I am done. Let me just read the chats really quick. Making daily habits and being consistent every day. Start with small habits. Yes, little tiny daily pivots. They don't have to, we are such a go big or go home society. If it's not grand, then it doesn't take me 3 hours a day to do it, then why even do it? I mean, it's pointless to do one thing a day, right? When I should be doing 85,000 things a day. So if I can't do the 85,000, why do anything? When instead, what if we did one thing a day, every day? That'd be 30 things in a month. That would grow. Consistency compounds, right? Okay, consistency compounds. Homeschool's the goodest. How do you pronounce that? Consistency compounds. Compounds. Okay, very good. Okay, 2 little quotes and then we're done. J.R. Miller said, "The only thing that walks back from the tomb with the mourners and refuses to be buried is the character of a man. This is true. What a man is survives him. It can never be buried." Right? One of Mark Batterson's quotes that he says at the beginning of every book is, he will have been a success in life if he was famous in his home. The people who know him the most respect him the most. And that has always stuck with me. I want, the whole world can love me, but if my family who knows me the most love and respect me the least, was I really a success? You know? And then one last quote: "No leader can break trust with his people and expect to keep influencing them. Trust is the foundation of leadership. Violate the law of solid ground and you diminish your influence as a leader. But honor the law and build trust, and people will follow you even through the toughest of situations." And so that's the goal, right? We add value and we are servant leaders and we are trustworthy no matter what. We are authentically ourselves, trustworthy, adding value to people, loving them well, in the trenches with them, compounding that change in our pockets so that our people will follow us and trust us, and so that we give our team a name that's trustworthy, of high integrity and high respect, and so that we give Plexus a name that, like the CEO, they always say, we want Plexus to be known as network marketing done the right way, but rarely ever is. And so I love that. And I love being about changing the face of network marketing. I love being about having people scratch their heads and be like, network marketing's slimy and I think it's a cult, but Amy's not slimy and I trust her. So maybe it's not a cult. I don't know. You know, so that's the goal. Make people scratch their heads and be like, wait, maybe it's okay. I don't know. You know, but we do that by adding value and being trustworthy. All right. I love you guys. Blessings on you. Thanks for being patient with us. Get on here late. Have an awesome week. And so we are chapters, what are we? Chapters 6 and 7? No, 7 and 8 next week. I don't know who's leading them, but 7 and 8 is next week. All right. Love you guys.